Germany Briefing as of August 20, 2026. Part 1. Major National and International Topics. GB01. Economy and Foreign Trade. China remains Germany's most important trading partner. China maintained its position as Germany's most important trading partner in the first half of 2026. Total trade between the two countries amounted to €125.5 billion. However, the relationship is becoming increasingly unbalanced. Germany imported goods worth €89.1 billion from China but exported goods worth only €36.4 billion to the country. This puts China in only 9th place among Germany's export destinations. The United States remains the most important market for German exports, even though deliveries there declined by 6.1%. Cars and automotive components were particularly affected. Nevertheless, Germany's overall exports increased by 3.9%, mainly because of stronger deliveries to other EU countries. Economists believe that Germany is facing growing pressure from the industrial and trade policies pursued by China and the United States. They therefore recommend strengthening the European single market and developing a more coordinated European industrial policy. GB02. Foreign Policy and Domestic Security. Nord Stream suspect arrested in Croatia. Ukrainian diver Vladimir Zurevlev has been arrested in the Croatian port city of Pula on the basis of a European arrest warrant. Germany's federal public prosecutor suspects him of involvement in the bombing of the Nord Stream gas pipelines in September 2022. Investigators believe that he was one of the divers who placed explosive charges on the pipelines after departing on the sailing yacht Andromeda. He is accused of jointly causing an explosion and committing anti-constitutional sabotage. Zurevlev denies the allegations, and his lawyer maintains that he is innocent. He was already arrested in Poland in 2025 but was not extradited to Germany. Croatian courts must now decide whether he will be handed over to the German authorities. Another suspect is already being held in pretrial detention in Germany. Zurevlev must be presumed innocent unless and until he is convicted by a court. GB03. Federal Politics and Pensions. Clear majority wants the pension at 63 to remain. The German government plans to abolish the option of receiving a pension without deductions after 45 years of pension contributions. According to the latest ZDF Politbarometer survey, 75% of respondents oppose this change. Only 20% support the planned abolition. Majorities among supporters of every political party are against the proposal. However, the term pension at 63 is historical. The actual minimum age is gradually increasing, depending on the person's year of birth. The important point is that people with 45 contribution years can currently retire up to 2 years before the standard retirement age without financial deductions. The Pension Commission has proposed abolishing this option. Several state premiers from both the CDU and SPD have also criticized the proposal. The survey additionally reflects a difficult political climate. In the election projection, the AfD stands at 27%, ahead of the CDU and CSU at 22%. A total of 1,319 eligible voters were surveyed between August 17th and 19th. GB04. Border Policy and German-Polish Relations. Business community criticizes extension of border checks. The East Brandenburg Chamber of Industry and Commerce has criticized the latest extension of German border checks with Poland. Federal Interior Minister Alexander Dobrindt has announced that the checks will continue until March 2027. Controls at the German-Polish border have now been in place for almost 3 years. According to the chamber, the checks cause long traffic jams, unpredictable journey times, and additional costs for logistics companies. The consequences do not affect businesses alone. Cross-border workers, local residents, students, and tourists must also expect delays. The chambers of industry and commerce in the border regions have been calling for an end to the controls for some time. The measures have also faced criticism from Poland. The German government generally justifies border controls as necessary to combat irregular migration and cross-border crime. The dispute demonstrates how domestic security measures can simultaneously interfere with the free movement of people and goods within the Schengen area. GB05. Social Policy and Poverty Reduction. AWO proposes combining several social benefits. The Workers' Welfare Association, known as the AWO, has proposed a fundamental reform of Germany's social benefits system. Housing benefit, the supplementary child allowance, and basic income support would be combined into a fully integrated system. The proposal is based on a study conducted by the IFO Institute on behalf of the AWO's national organization. According to its calculations, the reform would particularly benefit low-income households, single parents, and families with children. The share of people at risk of poverty could fall by 0.9 percentage points, while the total financial gap between low-income households and the poverty threshold could be reduced by approximately €2 billion. The reform is also intended to preserve or strengthen incentives to take up employment. However, it would require around €5.4 billion in additional public spending each year. The AWO proposes partially financing this by reducing tax advantages currently enjoyed by wealthier families. Child benefit itself would not be reduced. At present, this is only a reform proposal and not an approved policy. Part 2. Everyday Life, Law and Social Issues for Immigrants GB06, Housing and Consumer Law. What tenants should consider before swapping apartments. As rents rise and affordable housing becomes increasingly scarce, apartment swaps are becoming more popular in major German cities. In such an arrangement, two tenants look for homes that better suit their respective circumstances. Families may need more space, while older people may want to move to a smaller or more accessible apartment. However, an apartment swap is legally possible only with the consent of all landlords involved. Tenants who exchange apartments without permission may breach their rental agreement and could face termination of the contract. There is also no legal right to take over the previous tenant's favorable rent. A landlord may offer a new rental contract with different terms. Therefore, all conditions, particularly the rent, service charges, and security deposit, should be provided in writing in advance. The apartments should also be inspected, and a detailed handover report with photographs of any existing damage is advisable. Tenants should give up their current apartment only after the new contracts and all required written approvals have been secured. GB07 Family and Children's Health. New U10 Preventive Examination for Children aged 9 to 10. Germany is introducing a new regular preventive medical examination for children between the ages of 9 and 10. The Federal Joint Committee, which represents doctors, hospitals, and health insurance funds, has approved the new U10 examination. The U10 is intended to reduce the long gap between the U9 examination, which usually takes place when a child is around 5, and the J1 adolescent health check at the age of 13 or 14. During these years, children may develop obesity, psychological problems, developmental difficulties, or unhealthy patterns of media use. The U10 is intended to identify such risks earlier and allow treatment or support to begin sooner. The appointment will also provide another opportunity to check a child's vaccination status and administer any missing vaccinations. Some health insurance providers already offer the U10 voluntarily. It is now intended to become a regular service covered by statutory health insurance. Parents should ask their health insurance provider or pediatric practice when and under what conditions the examination will become available. GB08 Energy Costs and Consumer Protection. Consumer Association warns of rising gas prices. Germany's gas storage facilities are currently filled to only slightly more than 50%. Under the existing statutory targets, individual facilities should normally reach a storage level of 80% by November 1st. The Federation of German Consumer Organizations is therefore warning that gas prices could rise during the coming heating season. Households should check whether their gas contract includes a fixed price that remains valid throughout the winter. If it does not, comparing prices and possibly changing suppliers could be worthwhile. For gas traders, storing additional gas is currently less attractive because wholesale prices are already high. Tensions affecting international energy transport routes are cited as one reason. Experts do not completely rule out supply shortages toward the end of the heating season if Germany experiences a particularly cold winter combined with additional delivery problems. The Federal Ministry for Economic Affairs initially expects private traders to continue filling the storage facilities. According to current plans, a government-controlled strategic gas reserve will not be introduced until next year. GB09 New Laws and Regulations. What changed in August 2026? Since August 1st, children entering the first year of primary school have had a legal right to all-day care. The entitlement will gradually be extended to additional primary school grades in the coming years. Its purpose is to make it easier for parents to combine work and family life. Since August 2nd, companies have also been required to label images, videos, audio recordings, and texts that were substantially generated using artificial intelligence. The new European packaging regulation introduces stricter requirements concerning recyclability and hazardous substances in packaging. Other changes relate to building modernization and the accelerated construction or renovation of roads, railway lines, and bridges. Pharmacies are now permitted to provide additional healthcare services under certain conditions. These may include more vaccinations, blood sampling for diagnostic purposes, and rapid tests for specific pathogens. Voluntary biometric processing can also simplify passenger checks at German airports. A new right to repair has been approved as well, although it will apply only to purchase contracts concluded from July 31, 2027 onward. GB10 Healthcare and Patients' Rights. Patient Protection Organization calls for a register of medical errors. The German Foundation for Patient Protection is calling for the creation of a nationwide central register of medical errors in doctors' practices and hospitals. According to the organization's board member Eugen Brysch, the existing statistics published by the Medical Service and the German Medical Association provide only an incomplete picture. The foundation refers to estimates suggesting that medical errors may cause around 20,000 preventable deaths in hospitals each year. In addition to a central register, the organization is demanding a hardship fund for affected patients. It also wants the burden of proof to be adjusted more strongly in favor of patients when there is a high probability that a medical error occurred. Doctors' practices and hospitals should furthermore be required to actively use existing reporting systems for medical errors and critical incidents. Participation in these systems is currently largely voluntary. Anyone who suspects a medical error can ask their health insurance provider for assistance and request an assessment by the medical service. Patients also generally have the right to inspect and obtain a copy of their medical records. Notice: the sections concerning rental law, social benefits, energy contracts, and patients' rights provide general information only. They do not replace individual legal, tax, social welfare, or medical advice.